like the theme every Wednesday when we talk to you is that it's blitz day. How was blitz day today?
We, as normal, some good, some bad. It's important that we understand that the concepts of being able to do it versus run and pass, and we're still a work in progress. We're still, the idea of playing on the other team's line of scrimmage is still something that we get, but we're not all the way there yet. But we're getting better every week.
When you look at UTEP and a team that likes to run the ball so much, how similar, if anything, will it be towards the North Texas game? I know their quarterback's a lot better, but from a general standpoint, that they want to establish that run first.
Yeah, certainly. I think from a challenge, formationally, there's some similarities between what you saw versus North Texas. Plays, there's no doubt that on the board, there's a lot of similarities. I think the difference is the people that occupy the uniforms, and obviously it comes down to having a senior quarterback that can make all the throws, and wideouts that have proven that made the plays downfield, that are making plays against Kansas State, 40, 50 yards down the field, and really the back. And when you're talking about playing someone that's in top 10 in the country in rushing yards, that grabs your attention quickly, and then an all-conference USA tight end. So I would say from a personnel standpoint, this is one of the more balanced challenges we've had in terms of having people that can make plays at every station.
What specifically does grab your attention about the running back?
The ability to be explosive, the home run hitting ability, where we've played backs that have been good hard runners. This is the guy that has a knack for going all the way, and you've seen it against pretty much everyone they've had the opportunity to play. Our players know him well because he ran for over 100 yards against our defense a year ago. But their mentality is sort of pound it, and then get one to break. And when you got a guy that's got the speed to take a run, make a cut, and go 70, 80 yards, that can turn a whole game around. So we don't have to be good, most of the time. We really got to be good against them all the time, and that's a great challenge.
Now, are they a team that'll run it between the tackles? They like to get to the perimeter. What's their style?
All the above. They'll run inside zone right down Main Street. They're a bunch crack toss team. They'll run counters. They'll run leads. They'll run draws. They've got a lot of diversity in their run game. And what you can tell is that allows their offensive line to get good at what they do. They are a do what they do. They've got 4 or 5 concepts. If you overplay the toss, here comes the counter. If you got too many guys backside, here comes the strong side running game. And what they also do is they make everybody on your football team a tackler. And that, above everything, is what concerns a defense coordinator more than anything. You think about rushing yards. Auburn's 2 longest runs last week had nothing to do with our front 7. Those were mistakes on the perimeter. So everybody's got to come tackle, and they can formation you to make anybody they want to the free hitter to tackle the running back.
Seems like the common theme every week is disciplined football, and that's what you're talking about again, isn't it?
Well, that's defense. I mean, that's ultimately defense. I mean, we're in a situation where we're never in a situation where we don't have the run outnumbered. I mean, that's who we are. So if that's the case, the only way that 7 can block 8, or 8 can block 9, or 9 can block 10, is if there's of those 10 that they're not fitting appropriately. So stopping the run is an exercise in fitting your hat in the right place. They played 3 teams that struggle with that. Kansas State, has got really good players, but they're a supremely disciplined defensive football team, and they made it a hard go for them. So that'll be our challenge to worry about where we're supposed to be with all the different questions that they ask in the run game.
You already touched on it briefly, but when you have a running back like UTEP, I guess, and some of those missed tackle opportunities, they can often lead to big plays. And like I mentioned, you touched on it, but I noticed that a decent amount, some of those missed tackles on the perimeter, like you said, led to big plays. What type of emphasis has that been this week, either in film room or anything, just pointing out, if we can just make this tackle right here, it's a 2-yard gain instead of a 36-yard gain. Right,
they get it. And what we've done is we've gone to a system of tackling that we've circuit trained every week. So when we miss a tackle, it's not a situation of you have to make that tackle. That's like a coach should never say, catch the ball. They want to catch it. They want to tackle it. Why did you miss a tackle? So we understand there's every time a player's in a tackling situation, he knows exactly what technique tackle he should use. He knows what shoulder he should tackle with. And there's only 2 targets on a human body that we ever target. So it's an instantly correctable mistake once they know it. And that allows us to get good at it because we're able to drill it over and over and over again. our tackling against Auburn was actually really good. But when you play a team like Auburn with all what they do in terms of the run game, again, if they can isolate you one-on-one, if you miss the tackle, then bang, you've got a 30-yard play, which has happened to us twice. One was on a scramble, which was actually a pass play, and the same challenge is true here. So that's the whole point of what we're talking about, is that you can have a great day tackling and you can miss two, and Jones is a good enough player to go all the way from that point. So we can't, we have to make sure that our fundamentals and our techniques are spot on.
I believe it was ULL. You said that your scheme and your game plan was very simple against him. It seems like every week it's been pretty simple. Is that common for the scheme you like to run? That it's basically the game plan is simple.
Well, you're going to do what you're going to do. Everybody's going to have you got to have a mama. You got to have something you got to base out of. But we still have the ability to make what looks like our mama multiple every week. Which things that are less obvious to the naked eye. Some of those things are, I think, what frustrated Auburn through the first three quarters of that game, certainly the running game, to be sure. And then obviously on third down, we like to try and get creative on third down. But we our identity is what it is. Again, the idea of the pressure at times it's the threat of pressure that sometimes is more important than the pressure itself. And I think that's what we've always tried to establish ourselves as, is the ability to be multiple and be pressure oriented, and it's the unknown and the uncertainty to make sure the offense has to think twice before calling a play.
How tough was it to go back and watch some of the tape and see that your guys are in position on like 2 or 3 plays and they had an interception and they drop it? And I know the first one didn't really cost you, but there were some other opportunities could have, I guess, changed the outcome of the game maybe.
Oh, they all cost you. Yeah, no, they absolutely all cost you. The missed opportunities that we had, number one, in the backfield, to get the quarterback on the ground, which, understandably that he's a great athlete, but we still had opportunities to get him on the ground, and then the opportunities we had to make plays on the ball down the field, in our mind, cost us the game. I mean, we weren't going there to put on a good show. I mean that lost us the game, because when you add up the points at the end, it's not far-fetched to say that if you knock down 4 passes, you can take away 28 points, and maybe someone turned to field goals, but it would certainly give us a chance to be competitive up until the last drive of the game. So, our players were disappointed. They were disappointed leaving the stadium. They were disappointed leaving the. We had no doubt that we were going to play well against Auburn. That we weren't going there to try, and we were very disappointed in the manner in which we surrendered our touchdowns to them.
A guy from your room in Terrell Pinson probably. Arguably may have his best game as a Bulldog. I know it ended up in a loss and a loss and a loss, but what did you see from him last Saturday night that you've been seeing on practice days? You've been waiting to see on game day. Just
his aggression, feeling more comfortable, which allows you to play faster, play aggressive. He played an invaluable role for us in terms of where they want to attack with their field run game, and for him to have the ability to play out in space, but then come in and make plays in the backfield, I think were crucial. He made some good plays up the field on pressures. So that's something that he'll take a lot of confidence out of, and it'll be important because as valuable as he was last week, he's more important this week, and he knows that, and he knows that no matter what he did, it's a different challenge this week, where UTEP's going to line up in a different place than where Auburn had him lined up. So he's got to step up because he's going to be a big key to our success this game.
When he's out there, you almost feel like you have 5 defensive backs instead of 3 linebackers, almost 2 linebackers and 5 defensive backs.
We do feel like we have like a hybrid guy, and that's really what we want. And CJ Cleveland has done a nice job of fulfilling that role as his backup as well. You have to have, in this day and age, with what people are trying to do to you, you've got to have that flexibility, especially with a team like Auburn that's trying to go fast and was going back and forth between having 2 tight ends in the game and 1 tight end in the game. So the mental gymnastics that you get to avoid of having to try to sub to match up with them, that you can have a guy that can play against bigger personnel, and at the same time, when they try to spread you out, that's a big-time benefit to your defense.
Is that the role that Vaccaro played for you at Texas?
It's exactly the same spot, yeah.